And welcome to the 16th episode of the Coffin Corner Podcast. I'm your host, GoodNightPunk, and with me as always is my good friend, Richie.
Did you forget my name for a second? That was a pause for effect.
I was trying to decide whether I wanted to say KingNightAsp or Richie. But
who is this guy again?
Who is this guy? Once again, with me as he always is, this guy that I forgot his name. No, what's
16
up,
episodes in. Not much, buddy. Not much. We'll get into this more later, but I will just tell you that the ending of that Cardinal Charger game in person, probably one of my most painful football memories that I can remember. And again, we'll get into that more when we do the recap, but I just want you to know where I'm coming from.
I don't know why that comment sparked this in me, but in my fantasy football league, and some of them might listen to this, I'm not totally sure, but
they should.
There was two Green Bay fans just complaining in the comments, right? Talking about how it's painful to watch their team. They suck so bad. It's just the worst thing that could ever happen, blah, blah. And my only comment was, oh no, a Green Bay Packers fan who's been given the world has one bad season and you're crying about it in here with a Detroit Lions fan. Like, I have no sympathy for you. All the laughy faces.
Yeah. I mean, if you think back to Rodgers and Favre, the Packers haven't had bad quarterback play since the early 90s. And frustratingly, Jordan Love didn't look too bad in relief on Sunday. So if he goes on to also be successful, it's going to drive me insane. Because as a Commanders fan, Lions fan, Cardinal fan, like, we have watched terrible quarterbacks march up and down our fields most of our lives.
I was just like, it's weird for you to be in here looking for sympathy, because that's not happening. Not
You
for
will
me,
get
at least.
none from us.
What year did Bart Starr retire?
Oh God, 70 something? Was he even in the 70s? I don't even know. I don't know Green Bay Packer history. So
1972. Okay.
Okay, so it was the 70s.
It's a little while between Starr and Favre. I didn't know like he was that old, but even
It was.
still.
They had about 20 years, but most Packer fans nowadays don't remember though. They don't remember pre-Favre. Like, most Packer fans, you figure they've got to be in their 40s or 50s to remember pre-Favre. So yeah, I don't have sympathy for teams that have been spoiled.
Anyone
like Patriot fans.
Anyone our age that watched Bart Starr, let's say from the same age as we started really getting into football, right? Let's say they were 20 when they started watching football. Let's say Bart Starr retired when they were 40. 72 minus
50, they'd be 90.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to get at. I'm terrible at maths, but I know they'd be very old right now.
They would, I doubt there's anyone who has remembered watching Bart. I mean, maybe 60s. They would have had to have been born in the 50s. So, towards 70 years old at this point, watching Bart Starr, then Favre, then Rodgers.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why.
I want to find a Packers fan that remembers who the quarterbacks were in those 20 years.
That'd be impressive. I mean, how many Lions quarterbacks can you name? Probably a lot of them.
Well, a lot, yes.
Yeah.
But we never had a really good one before Stafford, so it was always
Joey Harrington, man. That guy was.
That is the name of a quarterback.
He was there.
He was on the team.
Also featuring Joey Harrington.
Yes. And Dante Culpepper and Mike McMahon and John Kitna and Scott Mitchell. And
see, I liked Kitna. He didn't do great things.
Dan Orlovsky, Drew Stanton.
Who doesn't love Dan Orlovsky?
Yeah. I mean, I love him as an analyst. He's fantastic. He's a terrible quarterback, but
he was just terrible at knowing where the end zone
was. The end line was? Yeah, very bad. Okay. Let's get into our top 5 this week. I had an interesting one I thought of earlier today, and that is the top 5 teams in the NFL that you're completely indifferent to. Whether they win or they lose, it doesn't really make a difference to you. And there's
I like
of them.
it. Yeah, it actually was tougher than I thought. I went mostly off of this season specifically, because normally I would have said the Jets in a heartbeat, but this season I'm actually interested in how they're doing, so I didn't want to include them. I thought that'd be unfair. So I went with 5 teams, especially this season, that I just do not care what they do on Sundays. Mm-hmm. And my number 5 to start off is the Saints. I like Chris Olave. About it. I don't really care who's playing quarterback. I don't care, what they're doing. Like, yeah, they are pretty uninteresting to me.
The second Drew Brees retired, they became uninteresting.
Yeah.
About the only thing that interests me about them at the start of the season was if Jameis Winston could find a place for his entire career, and he's healthy. Andy Dalton's starting. Jameis Winston is never going to be a staple at a quarterback anywhere ever. So
no. Well, hey, look at Geno Smith. It took him 12 years, 9 years, something crazy. Yeah, a while. But yeah, and it's a shame for Olave because he does look pretty legit. He just needs some solid quarterback play. He might end up being the next Terry McLaurin, where it's like he's super talented. If only he could get someone that throws him the ball.
Yeah, for sure. Mine was actually a team that in the early 2000s I would actually not have them on this list, but mine is the Steelers, and they're probably the best team on this list. So it's kind of like one of those situations where, normally a good teams, you have interest in them, whether they're winning or losing. But even if the Steelers were good right now, I probably wouldn't care too much. I don't care about their quarterback, really. I mean, Pickett, we talked about him a lot, but we're at the point where we've seen enough games where I'm like, okay, he's average this year. Maybe he'll be better next year. I don't know. But as far as anyone else on the team goes, there's only one. I mean, and I'm not including Najee, because that guy's just sometimes he's good, sometimes he's really bad. I don't even conclude him. The only one person on that team I really like is Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Really? Not TJ Watt? I thought you were going to go with TJ Watt.
I forgot he was even on the team.
Okay.
Makes sense. But
yeah, I agree. The only reason I kind of care is because I have Najee Harris in 2 fantasy leagues because I drafted him in the first round. Boy, has he been a bust. So that's the only reason I look at the Steelers. Like, I hope they win, and I hope he scores points. But yeah, Kenny Pickett, he hasn't blown anybody away. He also hasn't been absolutely terrible, so that's something.
No.
But it's just not much else going on with them. They're not a playoff team. Mike Tomlin's not going to get fired. A lot of people worried about. They're just going to finish the season and then go on to next year.
Yep. And the only reason I would care if they win or loss is if they were a playoff team, and I would only care in the playoffs because I have this stupid idea in my head that when we get to the playoffs, I want the teams with the most championships to lose so that the Lions have a chance of one day catching them.
I just like to see teams win that haven't won before. So yeah, I would agree. I'd like to see the Bengals, make it back, or the Bills. I wouldn't want to see the Steelers go on a run and win another Super Bowl. Or the Patriots.
They're in the top 3, top 5 of championships.
I think
overall,
they're number 1, aren't they?
I think they might be.
I don't know if New England's number 1 now or Pittsburgh's number 1, but they're either 1 or 2. Yeah. But yeah. My number 4 is the same as your number 4. I saw it on your list, so I just put it in the same spot because I figured we talk about it at the same time. The Panthers. Especially when they offloaded Christian McCaffrey and stud receiver Robbie Anderson, there's just nothing to care about at this point.
Honestly, they probably should have been number 1, because I never think about this team. Even when they had McCaffrey, and I never thought about them when they had Cam Newton. I just never think about the Panthers. The only time I think about the Panthers is when we're playing them. That's about it.
Yeah. When they had Newton and, their defense was pretty good, back in 2013 or something, whenever they made the Super Bowl.
Multiple times. I just
like those,
I never really thought about them at all. Even when they were
Jake
good.
Delhomme, if you want to go deep cut, Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams, like they've had good players, but yeah, there's just this happens a lot with all of my teams are NFC teams. So AFC teams, I usually find myself not caring what's going on in the AFC.
Yeah.
Unless, like you said, unless my team is playing them, or they're playing, one of our division opponents, so I can be like, all right, Panthers beat the Cowboys. That's usually the only times I care. But especially this year, where the only thing I'm interested in is like, well, is Steve Wilkes gonna keep the job, or are they gonna hire someone new? That's really the only thing in Carolina. Not, ooh, is Sam Darnold gonna resurrect his career? That's nothing to me.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. All right, then what's your 3?
So my 3 is Las Vegas Raiders. Again, an AFC team. They're a lot worse than people thought they'd be. I don't like Josh McDaniels as a coach. So even though I lived in Vegas for years, and if I still live there, I probably would go to games. It's not a team I'm ever gonna root for, and it's just not a team I really care what's happening to them. They're so, even with Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs looks like a good running back. Derek Carr is kind of meh, but it's just, they're just like nothing about them, especially this season, interests me or besides Josh Jacobs' monster game on Sunday, which we'll talk about. That at the very least was like, oh, that's a cool story. But as a franchise, I just don't care.
The only reason I don't like him is because of their fans. That's the only time I think about them is because of their fans.
Yeah, well, I remember living in San Diego when the Raiders would come to town. Those fans would be ridiculous.
Nightmare. My number 3 is the Colts. I haven't really thought about the Colts much at all. Even when they had Andrew Luck.
Really? I liked Luck, so that was he was at the very least something.
But these are like, and I'm looking at mine. Mine is all AFC teams, isn't it?
Panthers are NFC.
Okay, so I have one NFC because you mentioned that. I'm like, wow, that is awful bias of me since I paid most attention to the NFC. But the Colts is another team that I just never pay attention to. The only thing I pay attention to with them is that who's going to be their old ass quarterback starting this season. Like, what was it? Last year, it was... Last season,
Carson Wentz.
Carson
Wentz last year.
Season. Well, I guess he's not old. He's just someone else's scraps, I guess.
He is ass, though. You had that part right.
Yeah. Just scraps. Other team scraps.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan.
Yep.
Well, Sam Ehlinger, I guess, might be playing well enough that they're in close games, but they're not winning. Maybe he'll
Jeff
be the starter
Saturday.
next year.
The only reason they won a game a couple weeks ago, almost beat Philly, was because Saturday benched Ehlinger and went back to Matt Ryan. So they're not. No. Sam Ehlinger is not the issue or not the solution.
Well, the good news is then I guess we'll find out who the old quarterback going to the Colts is next year. Maybe now I'm interested again.
I feel like maybe they'll draft someone. Let's see what their record is right now. 4-7. Yeah, they may not be close enough to really draft anybody. But yeah, they may be somebody that's, a Jameis Winston destination, or
man,
they can have
that'd be perfect.
Jacoby Brissett, since he might be playing his way into a starting job with the Browns. But yeah, at the very least in March, that'll be one interesting for Indy, is like, all right, who's our quarterback this year? But I mean, and it's funny. I like Jonathan Taylor, but he hasn't made as much noise this season as his last season.
Completely forgot he's on that team.
Yeah.
He's great. I love him. I love his
he is, but he's had a very quiet year.
And he's third or fourth in the league for rushing yards. So
is he still? You never hear him, and he missed a bunch of games too. But,
yeah, exactly.
It's funny. My number 2 is an AFC team, but when I looked at my top 5 just now, I realized I have 75% of the NFC South on my top 5. So I guess I just don't care about that division. And frankly, I wouldn't care about Tampa Bay if they didn't have Brady. But anyways, my number 2 is actually the Titans. I didn't realize the Titans were even 7-4. I didn't realize they had a 3-game lead in their division because the rest of their division sucks. I didn't realize they're basically guaranteed to be a playoff team. Mm-hmm. I do not think about the Titans I like Mike Vrabel, but Ryan Tannehill, Robert Woods, Derrick Henry on the back half of his career at this point, nothing on that team.
Quiet. You never even see highlights of Derrick Henry anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. We the sad thing is you realize like we've already seen the best part of his career. Like it happened so quick last season. He gets hurt, and then all of a sudden this year comes back, and it's like, oh, he's down. He's on the downward slope now. Like that came out of nowhere. But yeah, just a meh team to me. A successful team, but not a team I care about.
Yeah, exactly. Mine is the next one, the Browns, and that's a recent development. I enjoyed watching the Browns be good with Baker Mayfield, and now he's gone, and I just don't think about them again, especially with who they picked up to take his spot. Yeah.
I see, and I was curious about this one because I can see being indifferent to whether they win or lose, but at the very least, I am curious to see what happens with Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. Does he recapture the success he had in Houston, or has he just been out of the game so long that he's never going to get back to that level? Like I'm at least curious to watch that. Whether they actually win or lose their games, I don't care.
It's interesting.
I will say this. I want Houston to beat them on Sunday so bad, but it's not going to happen. It's like, oh, what a great story that would be, but it's not going to happen.
If Houston won or the Browns?
If Houston upset them on Sunday, that would just be amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyways, my number one, the only reason they're on my number one list is because when I was thinking about teams that literally have no players I care to watch or track, the Falcons came to mind. The only player I was semi-interested in on this team was Kyle Pitts because, again, I drafted him in 3 leagues, and they didn't use him, and then he got hurt. At least Najee Harris for the Steelers is still active on game day. At this point, I do not care what's happening in Atlanta. They could win their division. I won't care. There's not a single player that I'm like, oh man, I like that guy, or I hope he develops, or what did he do on Sunday? No. I don't care what Mariota does. I don't care what Cordarrelle Patterson does. Nothing.
I get that. Yeah. It's been that way for a long time. Can you name? I'm sure you can. I can't currently. At least off the top of my head. Receivers that played with Matt Ryan that were good? Julio Jones.
Julio Jones. I think Roddy White played with him for a little bit. And Calvin Ridley before all that shit went down. I mean, they've had good receivers, but they haven't had good receivers in 2 years. And the last running back that I can name for the Falcons is Michael Turner. I mean, they may have had a different one. They had to have had a different one since then, but I can't remember. Yeah, that was 2008 maybe. And then defensively, Grady Jarrett, I think, is their defensive tackle. That's the only name I can think of. There's just nothing about Atlanta that really screams, give me a reason to watch.
I think that's exactly why I'm interested in whether they win or lose, because of the fact that we did our preview before the season started, and they didn't have anyone on their team. Oh, who is this? And then they were playing close games and winning games, and I'm like, okay, this team is terrible. You can't even name people on it, and they're winning games. This is interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's it. It's just, to me, it's fun to see a ragtag group of, it's like watching Rogue One. It's a bunch of no-name characters come together. But I just don't care about the outcome. I guess is my thing. It's oh, good for, Drake London. I liked him in college, but as far as the actual outcome or what happens, I'm just they lost, whatever.
Doesn't affect me at all.
Yeah.
Number one on my list, the Texans. And I don't think there's been a moment in time since they came back into the league where I was like, go Texans. I don't know. yeah, just they've had good players, you know.
Yeah,
But
they've had some. I mean, D-Hop, Andre
that
Johnson.
they had that running back for a long time. It was really good.
Yes. Oh man, what was his name? The undrafted running back.
Did he go to the Redskins?
No, I don't think so. Gosh, what the heck was?
Alfred Morris?
No, he was. See, Offenmore started in Washington, and then Arian Foster.
Arian Foster, that's the guy.
Yes. Yeah,
That
dude
cover,
was
right.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I just remember he was undrafted. Like that was crazy. But
Yeah, that's about the one person on that team besides D-Hop for sure that I was like, oh, Andre Johnson was the other one. Like
Andre Johnson, yes, Andre Johnson was good.
I always liked Andre Johnson, but I never cared whether they won or lost. Now, if they were had come back as the Oilers, I remember being a kid collecting football cards and thinking the Oilers logo was one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
There was something about the oil derrick and the little dude in the 3-point stance.
Yeah, I love the like, and they still have good colors, but I like the Oilers like baby blue. I think it was like a baby blue or powder blue, similar to the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like those better too. But they're the Texans now and forever.
Maybe if you're not, obviously, if you're just listening to this, we are planning to start playing Madden franchise live on stream after the podcasts on Friday nights. So come check that out. But I was just going to say, maybe I'll pick the Texans and turn them into the Oilers.
I'm willing to bet that it's not an option.
They took it off? You think they took it off? Because it
was it in there before?
It's always been
really
an option.
Oh.
It's always been. Well,
but was that before a team was in Houston? Because
yes, no. Well, that's true. No, because
how would you move if you try to relocate as Houston? You're not going to be able to select Houston. You'd have to move either Houston somewhere else and then back, or you'd have to move another team as like a second team to Houston. I think. I'm just going based off of what I know EA does as far as lack of effort into anything in franchise mode, and I would be surprised if they actually had that in there.
Yeah, so for Houston, I'm looking it up now. Man 23, Houston relocation. Your options are the Gunners, the Voyagers, and the Oilers.
The Oilers are in there. Okay. So you might have to move the Texans to London for a year and then move them back.
Move back. Yeah.
Yeah. But that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty awesome. I'd like to see.
And it's a really bad team, which I like to rebuild.
It is a terrible team, yeah.
And I'm not keeping Davis Mills.
Well, and I tell you what, because I don't know if anybody else is seeing your stream from this morning, you're playing the Lions in that franchise, right?
I actually wound up playing Madden Ultimate Team the entire time.
Okay. Because I was going to say, since we're both doing solo franchises that we're going to stream on, I'm going to do mine on Tuesdays, then why don't we both pick terrible teams in our podcast franchise, relocate them like the good old days, and start brand new fresh. I like that idea.
Oh, man.
You're going to take the Texans? I'm going to have to look to see who I end up taking.
All right.
I don't know who the second worst team in the league is. Probably Indianapolis. But,
could be.
Or Atlanta, or the Falcons. One of those two. Is
Dude, I want you to take. I'll take my number one. You take your number one.
All right, down. I'll take the Falcons.
All right.
Sweet. I like it.
Perfect.
And we're moving to London. Make my opponents travel. All right. Well, that was our top 5. That was a fun top 5. That was a good idea. And now let's move into our Week 12 review. Pretty quick review since we had 3 games last Thursday, which we already, we talked about. We didn't have as many games on Sunday and Monday, so this should be pretty quick. Denver, Carolina. Carolina won because Denver's terrible. Sam Darnold actually didn't play too bad in this game. Now, granted, Denver is bad, so it's not not screaming that all of a sudden Sam Darnold's going to live up to being the third overall pick that he was. But hey, he got a win. Biggest thing I liked, he threw to DJ Moore, which was something Baker Mayfield just apparently refused to do.
Yeah.
So that was nice to see. And then for Denver, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Russell Wilson looks like he's just completely done, and Nathaniel Hackett needs to be fired. Like, he should be one and done. That team is so lost. It's ridiculous.
I picked the Panthers in this one. I'm happy I did.
You did? And I picked the Broncos because I thought it was close. I think the line was pretty close, so I figured, what the hell, let's be different. That came to bite me in the ass. But yeah, Panthers get the win. Good for them. Tampa Bay, Cleveland. This one actually, I mean, Cleveland, man, this was a good win for them. I mean, it doesn't mean anything in the long run as far as playoffs go, but to beat a team like Tampa Bay with that talent, pretty impressive. It was a fun overtime game, real close right until Nick Chubb got that touchdown. Cleveland has 4 wins right now with Deshaun Watson coming back. I didn't think they'd get to 4 wins with Jacoby Brissett, so good for them. That's a pretty good showing for Brissett, I think. And for Tampa Bay, I don't know what their issue is. I mean, they didn't really change a lot of personnel, but they are just so much worse than last year. And
well, Leonard Fournette is either out or a healthy scratch. I can't remember.
I think he's out right now.
Yeah, so that's a big one. I mean, I guess they have Rachaad White, but at the beginning of the season, Fournette was the best running back in the NFL besides Chubb, so
he started off. Yeah, he started off pretty good. I mean, they've got Keyshawn Vaughn, Rachaad White, who didn't play too bad, but like Mike Evans in this game caught 2 passes for 31 yards. Like, Mike Evans, like, how do you not throw to him more? I guess he did have 9 targets, so just missed him a lot. But I wanted to ask you your opinion. I'm pretty sure I know the answer. Do you think Brady retires definitively after this season?
I think if they miss the playoffs and they have a bad pick, that he definitely retires. All right, but I honestly don't even know, because what's he got to lose by continuing to play now at this point? He already lost it.
Yeah, I think he retires simply because I have to imagine he's looking at his decision to come back after originally retiring and kicking himself. I mean, it cost him his marriage, basically.
I was going to say, no matter the outcome of the team in the season, he should be kicking himself.
Yeah.
And I don't know the inner workings of their relationship, or whether him unretiring was the reason or not, or maybe he unretired because he saw the writing on the wall. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, you're not going to be able to fix it when you're not there and busy. Right? So...
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
I really think I think he's done after this year. I don't see any reason. Yes.
Because
absolutely.
Like a lot of other players that played 1 or 2 years too long, Emmitt Smith in Arizona, several players, it's just time to go. Jordan on the Wizards, like,
and the Hornets too, I think. Yeah, it's like, I get I get Brady being the ultimate competitor and everything, but he's 45, and just like the limited amount of action I've seen him play this year, you can just tell it's like, all right, you've reached the point. You're not going to accomplish anything else. He's not going to win a Super Bowl unless they surround him with unbelievable talent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's done everything he can. Just walk away gracefully. Don't like, get sacked and break a hip at 49. Like, just
don't make it so you can't walk for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Enjoy your retirement.
I'm curious to see what he does, but I really feel like he will retire, especially after this season. Just gone so bad for the entire team.
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville, Baltimore, another one you called, man. Swag wires. This was a exciting game right down to the end. People are like, "Oh, Justin Tucker had a chance at a field goal." Yeah, a 67-yard field goal. Like, it was when he was lining up for that field goal, and everyone's like, "Oh, the It's like, guys, it's 67 yards. Like, I know he's Justin Tucker, but it's
if he
still
was playing the
67
Lions, he would have made it.
Yes.
Because
it would have landed in the third deck. That you would have kicked that thing 80 yards. But
off topic. I still remember where I was when he kicked that, a 64-yarder to beat the Lions.
Yes, you were in my car.
What?
Weren't you in my car? We were driving to a Cardinals game.
I was on a ferry to St. John Island in the Caribbean, watching it on my phone.
Oh, I'm thinking of the Minnesota game. We were on the way to a Cardinal game one time, and Minnesota kicked a field goal to beat Detroit.
It was 2 weeks after that, or 2 or 3 weeks after that.
Man, Detroit has so many last-second losses.
That's why
that is
cardiac cats.
Yeah, that is I mean, God, you're gonna lose to a field goal, fine, but when you make it like a record-setting one, it just hurts even more.
Not only did we just let you beat us at the end of the game, you set some records. We're gonna be in the record book again for something not.
You'll remember this game forever.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so Swagwires, great win. Trevor Lawrence, I thought looked amazing. 29-37, 321 yards, 3 touchdowns. A lot of people have been talking about his play in the last couple of weeks. He's starting to look like a guy that was the #1 pick, which is good for him. As far as for the Ravens, in my opinion, the one thing they're missing is a #1 receiver. And they drafted Rashad Bateman to be it. I know they have Mark Andrews. But look at what A.J. Brown's done for Philly and for Jalen Hurts. Just having that guy to be double-teamed, to be the go-to receiver. Baltimore really needs to find itself a stud receiver like that, in my opinion.
Crazy that Deshaun Jackson's name is on this box score.
Yes.
As the second leading receiver with 74
still
yards
out
on 2
there
catches.
somewhere. Yeah.
And he had a long of 62, which means this guy was booking it again and still has speed.
Which is pretty damn impressive because he has got to be in his mid-30s, maybe early 30s at this point. I'm going to look it up, actually.
He is
36. Yeah, so, I mean, good for him. I couldn't move like that at 26. So
yeah, exactly.
Houston, Miami, not a big surprise in this game. Miami gets the win. They actually would have won by more, but they took their foot off the gas in the second half because they were up 30-0. So for Houston, Kyle Allen, not the answer. We all kind of knew that. They benched Davis Mills for him because Davis Mills isn't the answer. Houston will draft a quarterback. And I am actually curious. The only thing that makes me curious for Houston going forward is who are they going to take #1? That'll be fun to watch throughout the offseason and the combine and pro days and everything to see who solidifies themselves as Houston's future franchise quarterback.
I wish I could reliably put Dameon Pierce in as a fantasy option, considering I drafted him so many leagues, thinking he would be. But week to week, this guy is just a giant question mark. 5 rushes for 8 yards.
They couldn't run the ball. They were down so much they just had to throw. How many passes did they have? I'm guessing 40.
Looks like 30 something, 39, 40 basically.
Yeah, so they just couldn't run, but I think Dameon Pierce going forward like next season and as a dynasty style player is a good one, but until they can commit to the run game, he ain't gonna do anything for them.
Yeah, for sure. Faux show.
I just want to say Miami, just look at their stats every time, how little they run. It reminds me of the Kurt Warner days for the Cardinals when they never ran the ball and it was just short passes if they need to get a couple yards. Like that's what I feel Miami's basically doing is just, we'll run to keep them honest, but we're never gonna, be in the top half of the league running the ball. I think I looked it up. Actually, they were 28th right now. So
well, Chase Edmonds isn't there anymore. Who's the other running back that got his
Raheem
job
Mostert.
taken? Oh yeah, Mostert.
Yeah, Raheem Mostert.
Yeah. So you're like, they've run through. I remember at the beginning of the season they had a crazy good running back room, and now they're running with Jeff Wilson and Mostert. It's just
Gaskin.
weird. Yeah.
Myles Gaskin, yeah.
Gaskin's still somehow like showing his head
Just hanging around. They forget he's there sometimes.
I've used him in fantasy and Madden, or in franchise and Madden several times. I always liked Gaskin.
I always would draft him. Like when I did the custom made draft class, whatever year that was, I would always draft him because he was like a good returner. So I was like, hey, perfect, I need that. But yeah. Jets, Bears, boring. I don't know if you saw this, but before the game, Trevor Siemian hurt himself in pregame warmups, so Nathan Peterman was gonna have to start. And then literally 5 minutes before kickoff, they're like, actually, Simeon's fine. And I just remember we were driving to the Cardinals game, and like I'm following this on Twitter. My dad was getting so annoyed because it was just like the Bears could not figure out who was gonna be their starting quarterback. I thought it was funny. And then for the Jets, Mike White looked freaking amazing, but he did it against the Bears. So
28, 2 of 28, 3 touchdowns. That's crazy.
The problem is it was against Chicago. Like if he does that against Minnesota on Sunday, then I'll start to be like, well, maybe Mike White is something. But doing it against Chicago's secondary, that's nothing to me. That doesn't mean anything.
By the way,
we'll see going forward.
This leading running back, I've never even heard of him until Sunday. Zonovan Knight. Okay.
I don't remember if Michael Carter got hurt in the game or what happened with that. Yeah.
Or why Zonovan Knight is above Ty Johnson? I remember thinking last year Ty Johnson was a beast. But
Zonovan Knight's the coolest name ever. It's such a cool name. That's why. He's the Dark Knight in Gotham, in New York City's Gotham. There's a connection. Cincinnati, Tennessee. I was impressed. The Bengals found a way to win, missing Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon. They did it mostly by shutting down Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry was actually the leading receiver for the Titans, too. And again, going back to what I say about the Titans, they're going to win their division by default. I think they're not going to win a playoff game. They're going to host a playoff game as a division winner. Whoever they host will beat them. Like, I'm the most underwhelming team to me this season is the Titans.
Yeah. Well, was it you were telling me or someone was telling me last Sunday that they're like, the Titans are 7-3? What?
That's the way I felt when I saw they were 7-4 after this game. I was like, really? And then I looked at their division. I'm like, oh, that's why. Colts, Texans, Jaguars. Yeah, they're going to win that division. Atlanta, Washington. Just another stressful game as a Commanders fan. But one thing that stood out to me, Brian Robinson's first 100-yard career game was almost 3 months to the day after being shot in the knee. And that was just an awesome story to see how he's coming along. And he keeps getting better week to week, and he says himself that like he's still not 100%. And like watching him run, especially I don't know if you saw the touchdown he caught where he ran over 2 defenders. Watching that, I was like, oh yeah, man, like truck stick, and just to think that guy's still not 100%, I'm excited. And then also I loved his big hat after the game. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
Oh my gosh! So his buddy, Brian Robinson, said his friend makes giant comical hats. So he was wearing one in the locker room when he was given the game ball. Did you Google it?
Google just autofilled Brian Robinson big hat.
Yes. Big hat. Yes. So he was wearing it when
I see it.
Yep. He got his game ball wearing his giant hat. I mean, just fun stuff, man. As far as the game itself, again, we're winning. We're not doing it in ways that make me happy, but we're winning. So I freaking love it. Ron Rivera said that he wants one, and everyone's like, yes, Ron Rivera needs to wear a giant hat.
When you said giant hat, I was thinking of like the Cowboys foam hat.
Oh, no, yeah, it's literally just a big hat.
Giant regular hat.
Yes, just a big hat blown up. For Atlanta, honestly, I mean, they're I think 5-7. The Bucs are 5-6, so they are a half game out of the division. But I mean, there's still a chance they win. They didn't look bad on Sunday. They just lost the game at the end because of a tipped ball getting intercepted in the end zone. Like for Washington, we won, but it wasn't a dominating win. So Atlanta, there's still a way they could sneak into the playoffs. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm interested in them. Because they
a
actually have
team.
a chance.
Well, to me, they're like the Titans. Like, all right, they might win the division, then get bounced the first round. But now we'll go to a team that definitely won't be in the playoffs, and that is our Arizona Cardinals. I mentioned at the top of the pod, this game, so the last couple years going to Cardinals games, because they always lose at home, it's always felt sort of like given that they were going to lose. It always, you watch them play, Eagles, Chiefs, Packers. It always just feels like, all right, we're going to lose this game. We might put up a fight. We're going to lose. This game from the start, the defense was sacking Herbert. The offense was scoring points. It legitimately felt like we were going to win this game. Mm-hmm. For the first 3, and I'll even say 3.5 quarters, it was the most excitement I felt at a Cardinals game since 2019, pre-pandemic. Mm-hmm. Like, it was awesome. Then, all of a sudden, the offense can't get a first down. The defense can't stop anyone. The Chargers score the touchdown, which was in the end zone we sit in, by the way. Austin Eckler dove to the pylon that's right in front of us. You know the seats. No. So that was heartbreaking. And then we're thinking to ourselves, all right, that's cool. Overtime, that's more exciting. Overtime games are fun.
Wait a minute.
Chargers were like, we're going to go for it. And we had a really cool Charger fan behind us who me and my dad were talking to the whole time and like messing with. And like, he was like, oh, we're going for it. I love it. And I told him, I was like, I love it too, honestly. Like, at this point in the season for both teams, why not? Like, just who cares? Well, the Chargers went for it and got it. And they win by 1 point with 11 seconds left. And then what nobody else talks about is the fact that the Cardinals had 11 seconds to try to kick a field goal. Kyler Murray, the first play, just throws to a ghost. I don't go back and watch it. There's no one around the ball where he's throwing to. I don't know what he saw. And then the second play, there's like 6 seconds left. He wastes all 6 seconds running around, and then I think he just threw the ball out of bounds or something. Like, it was just, I don't know what happened in the fourth quarter. It was like the Cardinals remembered who they were and was like, oh, we got to piss this game away somehow. And they did. And it was just deflating. I legitimately just like, for us driving 6 hours round trip constantly to see these games, to not be able to see them win one is getting so freaking annoying. Like, it's very frustrating. But
the one game that they won at home was on Thursday, right? So you didn't get
Yes,
to go.
I was not there. We sold it because we had our monthly poker game, and plus I'm not going to go on a Thursday anyways. Well, that's what's funny. So they play the Patriots and the Bucks at home. The last 2 games. We've sold both of them because one of them's on Christmas and the other one's a Monday night. Mm-hmm. And they'll probably win both games. Like, that's just how it works. So I don't know, man. But another fun note, and I tweeted this so our seats are right where the Cardinals tunnels. Michael Bidwell was walking through the tunnel after the game, and I was yelling at him to fire Steve Keim because he should. And he looked dead at me and just said no. And I respect that. I like an answer, but at the same time, it's not the answer I want.
It's not a good one.
Like, at least be open to it. Say maybe or shrug. I like, just don't tell me no in November. We still have 5 more weeks of this shit. Like, yeah, just
maybe he meant no, not right now. Just wait till the end of the season.
Not immediately. But yeah, man, I just a freaking. Anyways, moving on. Congratulations to the Chargers. The shitty part was, too, that I like the Chargers. I like a lot of their players. So, like, the touchdown to Eckler at the end, like, I'm happy for the Chargers to win. I want to see them make the playoffs. But if they could have just beaten us 30-10, I would have been softened the blow. To beat us on a 2-point conversion at the end of regulation is just, like, kicking me in the nuts. Like, that's just mean. Anyways, Seattle, Las Vegas, another exciting overtime finish. The second overtime win for the Raiders in 2 straight weeks, so that's kind of fun for them. Josh Jacobs just went beast mode. He had over 300 all-purpose yards. And that dude's a free agent after this year, too. So
Isn't that
that's
insane? 33 carries. How often do you see that anymore?
Yeah. He's their only good player. I mean, besides Devontae Adams, but Derek Carr can't get him the ball, so run. And for Seattle, they lost, but in my opinion, Seattle will still end up the number 7 seed. They dropped to 8 after this. But looking at their schedule, they play the Rams twice, who have all but given up on this year. I don't think Stafford plays another down. They play Carolina and the Jets.
Good.
Yeah. So, they've got 4 winnable games. They could still get to 10 wins and at least be the 7, if not the 6 seed.
Yeah.
Speaking of Matthew Stafford, the Rams, first it was concussion, now it's his neck. I definitely think he doesn't play again this year, so they'll just lose out. But yeah, Kansas City, I thought Kansas City would stop them. They should have. They didn't, but they still won. Good for Kansas City. And I know you're rubbing your hands together because the Lions own the Rams' first-round pick.
That's right. I was going to say, for anyone that doesn't understand why Stafford not playing excites me, it's because I love Stafford.
I was going to say, you secretly hate Matthew Stafford and you want him to
The fact of the matter is, this is the second of 2 first rounds we got for him, and the fact of the matter is, if they continue to suck, currently we have the number 3 pick from them, which means we could get his replacement with the pick we got for him. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to work out really well for the Lions. It actually reminds me when the Redskins traded for RG3, they gave the Rams 2 firsts and 3 technically, because that year's also. The second one they gave him after RG3's rookie year ended up being, I think, like 21 or something, which is where they got Aaron Donald. And then the next season, after 2013, RG3's terrible second year, we gave the Rams number 2. So it's like, all right, it's kind of, it's nice for the Rams to pay that back, 10 years later to a team by giving up such a great pick. And this is off topic, but I'm curious your thoughts on this. If the Lions end up 3rd, the Bears end up 2nd, which is right now. If the Bears trade that pick to somebody who wants to jump the Lions to get a quarterback, should the Lions take the 3rd best quarterback or Will Anderson, who's like the best pass rusher in this class?
I mean, it depends on if he plays the opposite spot of
Hutchinson
and where our next pick is, and if there's a quarterback that'll be around in that spot.
I don't know. I'm just curious what your thought on that was, because I'm pretty sure Detroit is going to take a quarterback.
See, the other thing is, we don't need. I mean, we do need a defensive lineman, but that defense needs secondary, secondary, and taking secondary with a 3rd pick doesn't always work out. Okuda's finally decent with a 3rd pick. Finally.
2 years later.
This is his 3rd. Yeah, in his 3rd year, he's finally playing and playing well. So.
Yeah, I feel like they'll take a quarterback. I don't think Chicago is going to be able to trade down. Maybe they will, but I also think Chicago would take Will Anderson just outright.
I think they should.
Number 2.
They don't.
I think they
anything.
will. Like my dad wants them to trade down, but I feel like they're just going to take Will Anderson, and then the Lions will get quarterback number 2.
And a lot of the times those top 5 trade down trades aren't great.
Yeah. Well, and the teams that need quarterbacks that aren't already in the top 5 are not going to give up 3 first. There's no one in this class that I feel is going to be worth 3 first rounders. I don't know yet. We'll see, but I don't know.
The only real spot where for sure you're getting a quality player most of the time is the top 10.
Yeah.
Trading out of the top 10 from the number 2 spot to pick up a end of the first rounder, maybe, or a second rounder where nothing is guaranteed at all because you can wind up with Andy Isabella or you can end up with Deebo Samuel. I'd rather take the number 2 guy.
Especially if like Will Anderson ends up being like a Joey Bosa or a Nick Bosa type defender. I mean, that's a game-changing defender. So yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting to see. I was just curious on your thoughts about the Lions, but we'll finish up our recap here. San Francisco, New Orleans. San Francisco shut out New Orleans. That was New Orleans' first shutout since 2001, pre Drew Brees. So I thought that was kind of a cool fact. Green Bay, Philly. You mentioned this last podcast. You were dead on. Green Bay plays up to their competition. They
Every time.
gave Philly a fight, and it was actually a very exciting game. A lot of scoring. I was damn close to getting my +10, but the Packers just kept having to score in the fourth quarter. But we'll see if Rodgers' injury lingers, or well, they said he's going to play Sunday. I think he's going to play the rest of the season because, in my opinion, I think Brady's going to retire. A lot of people talking about Rodgers retiring. There's no way in hell. If anything, Rodgers will want to be traded because he wants to prove that it's the team that's bad, not him. So he'll want to go somewhere else to prove that he can win anywhere, kind of like what Manning and Brady did, and be able to say, well, it's the Packers that sucked around me, not me. That's my 2 cents. That's what I think is going to happen. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Pittsburgh, Indianapolis. That was a boring Monday night game. I mean, Pittsburgh got the win. That's cool, but I watched this game. The only thing I remember from this game is Najee Harris not scoring enough points for me to win my matchup. That's the only thing I remember.
And then Benny Snell had more carries than him.
Yeah, well, because he got hurt. But yeah, and that was the frustrating thing too. Watching the backup running back, and I'm just thinking to myself, if Najee hadn't gotten hurt, he'd be catching these passes. And all those yummy points that I needed to beat Perkins. Anyways.
Does Perkins even update his roster?
He does actually. He doesn't draft. He auto drafts because he's a lazy bastard. But he updates his roster throughout the year. So good for him.
I almost lost to the in our sleeper dynasty league to the guy
who almost lost to Bill.
Dude, the guy has a crazy good team. Crazy good team.
He does have a very good team.
And there's if he has people on his IR scoring 30 to 40 points.
Yeah. It is a very good team, and I need to find someone.
The part that drives me crazy is that he's got Odell Beckham sitting in the starting spot. And if Odell Beckham does sign somewhere, suddenly he's even harder to beat.
Yes. He has 2 wins. He's beaten 2 people this year, despite having multiple zeros in his lineup.
Yes, exactly.
But all right, well, that was week 12. So we mentioned this. You had a hell of a week with picks. We had 4 games different, and you got all 4 of them. I went 7-6, and you went 12-2 with your bonus pick. So you have now taken the lead on the season by a game and a half. I am 99-65. You are 101-64. That was a monster week 12.
Big swing in week 12 for me.
Yes.
I was looking at those records. As I was tabulating the wins and losses for this week, and I'm like, I got all 4 of the ones we varied on. That's crazy.
That is awesome. So that just means I got to step up this week and try to outdo you. All right, so we're gonna move into our week 13 preview, starting off with the Jaguars at the Lions. The Lions are favored by 1, which basically means they're favored to win because they can't win by anything less than 1.
Yeah. Yeah, so, it's funny because I didn't have odds on this game and the next one because ESPN listed it as even.
Oh, see, and I went off FanDuel, yeah.
So, this is tough.
Is it? You never pick your team.
I don't ever pick my team, but I feel like you're going to, and if I don't, I'm going to lose. Because this is the only time where I'm like, you know what? The Lions might win this because of the fact that they won the 3 in a row. They just almost beat the Bills. They're more healthy than they are hurt going from that game to this one. They didn't lose really anyone. So, I don't know. I feel like I should take the Lions in this one for once.
All right. You can go with the Lions.
I'm taking the Lions.
That's fine. I was going to pick the Jaguars anyways, actually. This is literally it's -1. This is as close as a game can possibly get. But I think it's going to be high scoring. It's got the second highest over under this week. And I just think the Jaguars have more weapons offensively. The Lions have Swift, Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, but the Jaguars, ETN's healthy. Kirk, Ingram, Marvin Jones had a big game last week. So at the very least, this ought to be a damn interesting game. Like this game, I think it's like 51 or something is the over under. So this should be a fun game to watch.
You know what would make it even more fun?
The Lions win.
If Jamo plays.
Oh yeah, that'd be amazing.
He's been practicing every day. They just haven't said whether he's actually going to play or not.
Have they activated him off the IR yet?
I think they have.
Okay.
He wouldn't be practicing, would he?
I think they can practice while still on IR.
It says if the Lions... Oh, no, he's not activated yet.
Okay.
It says if the Lions plan on activating Williams this week, they will likely announce it on Saturday by 4 Eastern.
Something to watch for tomorrow.
For sure.
If they do activate him and he's playing, I may have to watch this game instead of the Commanders because that is gonna be a fireworks show.
I need my Jamo fix. I'm excited
to find Jamo.
We're like this far into the season, right? Completely forget that he existed until it's like, all right, he's coming. Jamo is coming.
Coming soon.
Yeah.
Jamo.
If you thought Hutchinson was good, now we got one on the other side of the ball. So.
All right. Steelers, Falcons. Steelers favored by 1. So again, another very close game.
I mean, Falcons. Give me the Falcons. Because they're at home, and I often pick the Falcons, and I just think they're fine.
Yeah, I'm going Falcons as well. I don't think Najee Harris is going to play last I saw, so the Falcons not a bad team, so I think they should be able to win this game. Packers Bears, Packers -3.5.
Give me the Bears, because the Bears aren't one of the best teams in the NFL, and so the Packers are going to be lazy.
Seriously, you're gonna take the Bears?
Yeah, I'm taking the Bears.
All right, I'm taking the Packers. Believe me, I'd love nothing more to see the Bears beat Green Bay, but it's the Bears. Bears gonna bear. Jets Vikings -3.
Why are these picks so hard this week? It's
a lot of close games, man.
Well,
a lot of close games.
I don't feel like I should ever pick the Vikings after they lost to the Chiefs so bad. It was the Chiefs, right? That blew them out.
Cowboys.
It was the Cowboys. That's even worse.
I know. But Mike White, how much faith do you have in Mike White?
See, that's the other problem is it's still the Jets who are up and down. And they just won last week, so they're probably like over the moon right now. Well, I'm going to take the Vikings. They have a good team. They have a lot of good players. They're at home. Get freaking Thielen and what's his face going, and you'll be fine.
Jefferson, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going Vikings too. I don't know. I just can't pick Mike White against a good team until I see it happen.
No.
I think there's the possibility that the Jets win. That defense, Sauce Gardner could shut down Justin Jefferson. So there's always a possibility, and it would be quite a story for the Jets if they did. But I gotta see it first. I gotta see it to believe.
Yep.
Commanders at Giants. Commanders favored by 1.5.
You want to pick first?
Sure. Giants.
I need to look at the Giants' schedule because I feel like they just lost to Cowboys, the Lions, they barely beat the Texans, lost to the Seahawks, they barely beat the Jags. I'm taking the freaking Commanders.
I appreciate that because I I do think the Commanders can win this game, but here are two things that concern me. One, Taylor Heineke, because he always concerns me. And two, what the hell's their quarterback's name? The Giants quarterback.
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. Thank you. Dude, I just blanked entirely. Daniel Jones, when he's played the Commanders in his career so far, his stats are like Joe Burrow-esque. Like, there's a story on ESPN about it. He's like 5-1 against them, 3-1. Like, it's stupid how well he plays against us. So again, until I see us beat him, especially on the road in New York, I can't believe it will happen. No. I want it to happen very badly.
All right, Titans at the Eagles.
Eagles. That's not even a question.
Yeah. Just like the next one isn't a question.
No.
Broncos at the Ravens.
Ravens.
Yep.
If the Ravens lost this game, I don't know what the hell would happen. Like, that'd just be
Dave might actually win a week of fantasy football. That's what. Sorry, I had to shout out Dave there.
I know he's not even on either. So, oh, there he is.
What's up,
on.
Dave? That's
What's up, Gelrog? Yeah.
Gelrog in the chat.
I love it.
Browns at Texans. I'm taking the Browns. A, because the Texans
obviously
suck, and B, because not only is it the Texans, but now you've got
Deshaun coming back.
And not Jacoby Brissett. So
I want the Texans to win this game so much because it would just be such an amazing upset, an amazing story. But they're not going to. Browns.
Yep. Seahawks favored at the Rams.
Seahawks, because the Rams are starting John Wolford again.
Yeah, Seahawks for sure. Dolphins at the 49ers. 49ers are favored.
This one's actually pretty tough because the 49ers do have a very good offense and a good defense, but they just barely beat the Saints. And, I mean, the Dolphins, they're so explosive with those two receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take the 49ers.
49ers. I'm going to take the 49ers, too, at home.
Yeah, that one is they're like that ought to be a really interesting game too in the afternoon. But yeah,
I don't get to see the Dolphins often because they always play in the morning. It'll be nice to be able to watch the Dolphins because they're an afternoon game.
It will be it should be a pretty good game too.
Yep.
And then speaking of another good game,
Chiefs favored at the Bengals. And I'm definitely taking the Chiefs. I do not believe in the Bengals. Sorry.
No, I'm actually going to take the Bengals. I think, and I'm taking a risk here because I think they're getting Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon back. So at full strength. I mean, they beat him in the playoffs last year. I think they can do it again.
All right. We shall see. What is that? 4 now we have different? 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 4 different.
It is. So, yeah.
Chargers at the Raiders. Raiders favored at home by -1. So
yeah.
they're just favored to win.
Just win the game, basically.
Yeah.
I was going to go with the Chargers, too, as you started typing. Yeah. I don't even know why the Raiders are favored by one in this. Like, that's the weird thing to me. They won last week, yes, but so did the Chargers. And
the Chargers,
are
5 and 6.
Yeah, they're a better team.
Like, if
6
if anyone's gonna be the favor by 1, I would think it would be the Chargers. But yeah, whatever.
I don't know. It's a weird one. I'm gonna put $5 down on the Chargers to cover that 1.
Right. Shouldn't need to spend too long on this one. Colts at the Cowboys. Cowboys favored at home.
Cowboys
favored at home by 10.5 points, that is. And I don't even think the Colts cover that.
And you can change that to Cowboys, sir. I saw that. And actually, I'm going to use my confidence pick on this game, just like you did with the Dolphins. I'm going to say the Cowboys win by 1.
Okay. I meant to talk to you about that. I don't feel like feel like confidence picks should just be that they'll win. Throwing these extra variables for not extra points doesn't just.
So you just want a bonus win for like you just. But see, then you could just pick the most lopsided game like this and get a bonus win every week. Like I always thought the confidence was like you're gonna name a line and they're gonna win by it, even though naming a 1 line is a weak way to go.
Yeah. Well,
Or
I'll just keep doing the week 1 with the +1, and then you can do you can make it. You'd have got the point last week.
I almost did. It was close. Well, no. We're basically just saying that we're going to get a bonus point for the easiest game by doing this anyway. So we might as well just stop doing it.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Ravens as my confidence pick.
Take the Ravens? All right. Yeah. That's another easy one.
Saints at Buccaneers. Buccaneers favored. Monday Night Football. Boring.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that impressed with the Bucs, but I'm even less impressed with the Saints, so I gotta go with the Bucs. They have to win this game.
Yeah. Buccaneers it is.
All right.
All right. So what do you got for us for fantasy sleepers?
So we got
I actually really don't even want to hear about it. Only because I've read it.
Yeah.
Only because I've read
Well, we'll do a quick recap of last week's sleepers. They all sucked. Except for Rashad White. I did nail running back. He was the 19th projected and finished 7th overall, so I nailed that. But every other player we picked, Taylor Heineke, Jacoby Brissett, Jeff Wilson, Rashad White, Curtis Samuel, Josh Palmer, Austin Hooper, Trey McBride, all
red marks.
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and move on from last week to this week. Hopefully a little bit better. So this week, my quarterback, I'm going to go with Jared Goff, actually. I mentioned it. I think this game is going to be high scoring. Jacksonville's the 24th pass defense, so the Lions should definitely score some points. He is ranked 20th right now. Got to finish higher than that. I mean, come on. Especially if J-Mo plays. He can be like top 5.
Oh, can you imagine? That'd be awesome.
Running back, I picked A.J. Dillon. Packers against the Bears. Bears have the 27th run defense. Dillon is the 35th projected running back. He scored some points last week. I mean, even if he just catches some passes in a PPR or gets a touchdown, I think the Packers will definitely score points against the Bears' crappy defense. So I like him to finish higher than 35. Wide receiver, I'm going Darius Slayton against Washington, mainly because somebody has to catch the ball for the Giants. I would have gone with Richie James, but he may not play. Slayton looks to be their top receiver. And if this game goes according to the Commanders' plan, which is we'll run the ball a lot and be able to score points, the Giants will have to throw because they won't have as much time. So at the very least, Slayton will catch the passes. I think he'll be fine. He's the 45th projected receiver. Definitely going to finish higher than that. And then tight end, I'm going to go with Evan Ingram on the Jags side of the Jags-Lion game. He didn't do anything last week, so I'm just banking on him getting a little more involved this week. He is the 20th projected tight end.
All right. I don't know where I see what they're projected.
I usually pull up our fantasy league and just check the projections there. Okay.
I just would have to count it, and I'm not going to count it. I'm going to go with
Kenny Pickett. That's what I have to do.
I'm going to go with Kenny Pickett against Atlanta as my quarterback.
I like that one.
He's pretty far down there. If I were to
let's see here.
Looking at my
I'm looking at the wrong stat. That's fine.
Halfbacks you can give me only because I know it's a safe bet and he's still ranked this low. Jamal Williams.
You know what's funny? I thought about Jamal Williams or DeAndre Swift when I was picking mine, so I like that. Oh, Kenny Pickett's one above Jared Goff, so that means he is the 19th projected quarterback. So yeah, that's.
Who was your halfback?
My halfback was A.J. Dillon.
Where's Dillon here?
He was the 35th running back, so he's pretty far down there. But yeah, Jamal Williams. All right, I see him there. Right below Tony Pollard. All right, so Jamal Williams. Yeah, I like. It's funny. I was looking at him, DeAndre Swift, the tight end. I forget which tight end I was looking at for the Lions. I was like, they're gonna score points. So any of these guys is a good pick.
Yeah.
But, all right, who are you going with for receiver?
Let's go with. I'm gonna pair him with my quarterback and go George Pickens.
Nice. He has been coming along nicely these last couple weeks.
Nope. Yes, sir. And then lastly, for tight end, I'm going to go with a classic, a pick for the ages, Evan Ingram.
Oh, so you're gonna same one as me?
Is that who you said?
Yeah.
I was looking at.
You weren't even paying attention.
I was trying to get my picks so we weren't waiting on me.
It's fine. I'm just talking to Dave. Apparently, I guess you're not even listening. I'll just talk directly to Dave.
Let him know. Let him know what's up. Yeah,
that's all right. You can do Evan Ingram too. Yeah. I like it.
Well, I'm looking. Hold on. A lot of these people are just absolutely terrible.
I know. Tight end is just a wasteland.
Every day, week. Now, you know what? I'll change mine to Greg Dulcich.
Okay, the Broncos tight end. All right.
No. He is 1, 2,
the Ravens
3,
do
4,
have a
5
terrible
ahead of Evan Ingram. So whatever Evan Ingram is, -5.
Yeah, the Ravens do have a terrible pass defense, as the Jaguars pointed out. So, definitely a good chance that Dulcich gets a little something.
By the way, Albert O, where are you? What the hell happened?
Yeah. What did happen to him? I don't even know.
All I know is I drafted him and he never did anything. I mean, granted, that whole team's not doing anything, but Albert O not turning into their main tight end was a surprise.
Yeah.
So
it's a shame.
Yes. Odd. So.
All right.
Sweet.
Well, I think that is everything.
That will
we got
do
covered.
It.
I like these faster podcasts. This one was a little bit longer than last week, but it's not 3 hours, so
yeah. We start doing them this fast, and I think to myself, how did we go for 3 hours that one time?
Yeah, because we can talk about the recap for 2 hours if we don't keep it short.
Well, yeah, and then we talk about one single game long enough, we start going off the rails on other points to what we were talking about in that one game.
Yes.
So
that's always the worst part. Is like, I mean, if we don't stick to the script and we just start like going off on tangents, we will be here all night. But luckily, with the new shorter podcast, it gives us plenty of time to do a little stream afterwards.
Some Madden.
A little stream action.
All right. Well, if you're here and you're watching, then you know after this we'll be jumping a Coffin Corner. This right here, this Twitch will be back after a short break. We figure out get Richie streaming on here from his computer for Madden. I'll be streaming over at GoodNightPunk on Twitch as well, just playing some two-man franchise mode, and that'll be after this. But if you're listening to the podcast, you don't care about that. You just care about when we're coming back, and that'll be next week for episode 17. Until then, you can find any information you need at Coffin Corners on Twitter, Coffin Corner Podcast on TikTok. If you want to watch the VOD, you can watch it on Twitch for up to a week after we do the podcast, or you can go to YouTube and search Coffin Corner Podcast, and you can find all the VODs of the episodes uploaded there. And yeah, so that's all you gotta all you gotta do to find us, and it's that easy. So, you have anything else you want to say before we sign off?
Just that please please find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and everything. Give us some Give us some good listens.
Yes, give the listens, give some reviews, and let us know what you think in that rating process, so we know what you like, what you don't like.
Everybody thinks 5 stars. That's what they think.
Yes, 5 stars are great.
Don't give us honest reviews. Just lie and give us 5-star reviews.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. All right, everybody.
Well, I'm ready. Let's do this.
We are out of here. We'll be back next week for the podcast, and stay tuned here or at GoodNightPunk for some Madden franchise mode, and we will see you there.
Bye, everybody.